I remember the day that this came to my mind. It absolutely rocked my world, changed my life. You can call it an epiphany. You can call it a revelation. You can call it whatever you want to. But I know when I had this thought, it changed everything. So if you're a believer in Christ, if you're a follower of Christ, this might just change everything for you. Because one day it occurred to me that Jesus didn't just save me from something. He saved me for something. Oh, hear me out. Because see, the problem was, as I was a young believer for a good many years, it was all about what he had saved me from. But nobody in my life was encouraging me and saying, he also saved you for something, not just from something. Yeah, the from something, that's great. That's part of your testimony. But as a pastor now, all these years later, that I see that this is one of the big struggles among Christians, is that we forget, or maybe we've never realized, that he did more than just save us from our sin, from our past. He saved us for something. I mean, when you think about it, you think that God reached down through his son and saved you from all of that stupidity, all that ignorance, all the craziness, all the sin, just so that you could sit and talk about that for the rest of your life? No, he saved you for something. And so the problem is a lot of us aren't living for that something. We always talk about what he did in the past. And listen, I'm not trying to begrudge you of your testimony. That's part of your testimony. But God ain't done with you yet. And I see a lot of people in the church are not talking about this. And we should be fired up about it. We should be talking about it. Because there's so many people that are living every day talking about where they come from and what God saved them from. And I'm proud of you, man. That is fantastic. But tell me about where God has taken you to. What is it that he saved you for? Because God is wanting to lead you away from that junk. Because see, here's the problem that I see. And I'm just being honest with you. Because as a pastor, I've seen it in recovery and various other things, is the more that we focus on that past, the more that we focus on the thing that he saved us from, the more likely we are to go back and entertain the things that he saved us from. And see, when we start to live in a forward fashion, in a forward way, with a vision, and begin to see the things that God has put before us, the things that he saved us for, then it's so much easier to lose those things from our past. It's so easy to walk away from those things. Yes, those are part of your testimony, but God is not done with you yet. God is not finished with your testimony. And in order for him to finish your complete testimony, to finish writing out the entire thing, you have got to take steps forward and walk into what he has saved you for. Okay? Listen, he went and got Moses off the backside of a desert, and Moses, you know what he had done? He had somebody, and that wasn't good many years before. But you know what? He called him out, and he called him to, and he walked to it. Listen, here's the thing too, is a lot of times in the church, we do these things that are like, well, one day God's going to use me. One day we keep talking about like some by and by thing. But God may be using you right now. Listen, when Moses took the first step toward Egypt, God was using him just as much in that first step as he did when he got to Egypt. Because if he didn't take the first step, then there wouldn't be any Egypt for Moses to talk about. You understand? God has saved you more than just from something. Thank God he has. But he saved you for something. You got to get with it. You got to lose religion in the past. Leave that junk behind, because a lot of times in the church, religion, legalism, they'll say, let's just keep holding on to what God saved you from. Let's just keep talking about that. Let's work through all this. The greatest way to work through it is to walk toward the thing that God has called you to. And if you don't know what that is, dig into his word and pray, because nobody else but God needs to tell you where it is that he saved you for. All right? Listen, we got to talk about this stuff. Love you guys.